Hey everybody, it's Craig and I'm here with another Pocketnow face-off, this time featuring a couple heavyweights from Sprint, the Samsung Epic Touch 4G versus the HTC EVO 3D. Alright, let's kick off our face-off featuring the Samsung Epic Touch 4G and the HTC EVO 3D, both available from Sprint. Before we get to it, I want to thank my friends over at Best Buy Mobile for setting me up with the HTC EVO 3D. If you're in need of a smartphone, make sure you stop by and shop at and buy at Best Buy Mobile. All right, we're going to run through the specs. We're going to boot up and check the available RAM on both of our combatants. We're going to run them through the Quadrant Standard Benchmark Test, Smart Bench, and Linpack Pro Test. We're going to do our unofficial speed test, have a gaming extravaganza, our browser comparison, and then after that I'll have a video sample from each of today's combatants attached to the end of this video, so you can check that out. All right, let's kick this off. Samsung's Epic Touch 4G weighs in at 129 grams, definitely the lighter of the two, also thinner. Sports a 4.5-inch Super AMOLED Plus capacitive display resolution of 480 by 800. Also offers Gorilla Glass. Upper left-hand corner, you've got a front-facing 2-megapixel camera for video calls. Below the display, you've got 4 touch-sensitive keys, main menu key, home key, back key, and search key. On the back is an 8-megapixel camera with autofocus LED flash, video capture, 1080p, full HD, battery underneath the battery cover, 1800 milliamp hour battery rated at 8 hours and 45 minutes of talk time. Taking a look around, up on top is 3.5mm headphone jack. On the right hand side is the power and lock key. Bottom is a microphone as well as the micro USB port. And on the left hand side is the volume rocker, and down here in the lower right, left hand corner, on the back is the phone speaker. Let's cancel that. Get back to the home screen. There we go. All right, the HTC EVO 3D weighs in at 170 grams, so definitely the heavier of the two, also a little bit thicker. Sports a 4.3-inch 3D Super LCD capacitive display resolution at 540 by 960. Upper right-hand corner, you've got a 1.3-megapixel front-facing camera for video calls, and below the display, again, 4 touch-sensitive keys, a little different order: home key, main menu key, back key, and search key. On the back, you've got stereophonic 5-megapixel cameras with autofocus, dual LED flash. Video capture is 720p. Underneath the battery covers a 1730 milliamp hour battery rated at 7.5 hours of talk time. Up on top is a microphone, 3.5mm headphone jack, along with the power and lock key. On the, what side am I looking at? On the left-hand side, you've got the micro USB port. On the bottom is another microphone. And on the right-hand side, you've got a dedicated camera key, your switch to flip between 2D and 3D for your camera, and also the volume rocker. All right, let's move on to bigger and better things. Let's talk a little bit about processors. In the Epic Touch 4G, you have a 1.2 gigahertz Exynos dual-core processor. The EVO 3D also has a 1.2 gigahertz. This is a Qualcomm Snapdragon MSM 8660 dual-core processor. The memory, 16 gigabytes of internal storage on the Epic Touch 4G, 3.7 gigabytes of internal storage on the HTC EVO 3D. Both offer 1 gigabyte of RAM. As far as Wi-Fi, you've got 802.11 A, B, G, and N, support for DLNA, HDMI out through the micro USB port via an adapter on the Epic Touch 4G. On the EVO 3D, you have 802.11 B, G, and N, support for DLNA, and again HDMI out via a micro USB adapter. Both offer Bluetooth 3.0 with support for A2DP. The Epic Touch 4G also has support for high-speed data transfer. Both offer GPS with support for AGPS. Both can be used as Wi-Fi hotspots. Operating systems on the Epic Touch 4G, Android 2.3.4 Gingerbread. On the EVO 3D, 2.3.3 Gingerbread. The user interface on the Epic Touch 4G is Samsung TouchWiz 4.0. And on the EVO 3D, it's HTC Sense version 3.0. Time to boot up both of our combatants and see what we've got for available RAM on both. We got the Epic Touch 4G fired up. There we go. And let's fire up the EVO 3D HTC, and that's firing up. And we've got the Sprint preview on both, little 4G. And here we go. Both booted up about the same time. All right, let's go into settings. And where's applications? Why can't I find it when I'm looking for it? There it is. applications, running services, settings, applications, running services. Showing 577 megabytes of free memory on the EVO 3D and 642, 640 thereabouts on the Epic Touch 4G. So it looks like the Epic Touch 4G is going to have around 70 megabytes more of free memory after boot. Time to run some of our tests. We'll start with the Quadrant Center benchmark tests and we'll kick those off. Got a good clean start on both. All right, let's check our results. On the Epic Touch 4G, 2956. On EVO 3D, 1927. So our winner was definitely the Epic Touch 4G on our Quadrant Center benchmark test. Next up, we're going to run the Smart Bench test and we're off. Good clean start on both. And we have a winner in the Epic Touch 4G. CPU 3997 to 2752, GPU 2350 to 1687. And last but not least, let's run the Limpack test and we'll run single thread and we're off. And we have a winner in the Epic Touch 4G, megaflops at 56.186 in 1.49 seconds. And on the EVO 3D, we've got megaflops 44.927 in 1.87 seconds. So overall winner on our test to this point has been the Epic Touch 4G. It is time for our unofficial speed test, and you can see I've downloaded Advanced Task Killer on both, so I just killed all the background tasks. Let's go ahead and we'll start with calendar. Try to be as close as I can. That definitely looked to be the Epic Touch 4G. Let's try maps. Again, definitely the Epic Touch 4G. Let's go into contacts. That looked pretty close, but I think it was the Epic Touch 4G. If I'm wrong, please let me know. Let's try messaging on both. That seemed to be the Epic Touch 4G. Let's go to Gmail. I don't know where we got that, but that was definitely the Epic Touch 4G again as well. Let's try the market on both. That was the Epic Touch 4G. Let's try the cameras on both. That was definitely the Epic Touch 4G. Let's go to Fandango third party. And let's try, that was that portion up to there would look to be the Epic Touch 4G. Let's try playing the trailers on both as well. See who loads quicker. And the winner of loading the trailer was the EVO 3D. Overall, I have to say the Epic Touch 4G was quicker in absolutely everything except loading that last video. All right, let's try a little gaming on both of our combatants, and we'll start out on the EVO 3D, and we'll run the capsule course on Asphalt 2. Okay, remember, I'm doing this through a camera, so be gentle with your opinions. Aha! Good start. Get off of me, buddy. Oh. All right. There's the Epic. EVO. Do the same thing on the Epic. Ah. All right. A little bit of gaming on both of our combatants. All right, let's wrap up today's face-off featuring a Samsung Epic Touch 4G and HTC EVO 3D with our browser comparison. Another one of our Pocketnow face-offs. Don't forget, after this, I'll have a video sample from each of our combatants, the Epic Touch 4G and HTC EVO 3D. All right, I've got them running off both off the same Wi-Fi network. Their displays are set to default brightness. I've cleared the cache and history on both, and both of them are fully enabled for Flash, and we'll kick this off with Engadget. And we're off. And it looks like a pretty even race up to this point. And our winner is going to be, but EVO 3D looks like it wants it. Nope, Epic Touch 4G got there first. You can see just how smooth it is. Let's try the EVO 3D, and again, it's not as smooth. Not bad, as you can see, but it's just not as smooth. Let's double tap to zoom in on both, give you a look at the text. And pinch to zoom, no problems on either one, and both of them will dynamically rewrap the text to fit the display, which is very slick. So you've got two great browsers. You can see just how smooth it is and how easy. Both of them are. Double tap to zoom all the way out. Boom. Any rendering issues? Doesn't look like it on either one. Both of them seem to render everything very well. Oh, wait a minute, what do we have here? Back to mobile's missing up at the top. We're missing an ad, missing some of the portions at the top here on the EVO 3D. So we're rendering a little bit more on the Epic Touch 4G than what's rendering on the EVO 3D. All right, what do you see? We head over to the mothership and check a few things out there. Smartphone reviews, and we're off. I think that was pretty close. Wow, EVO 3D is well out in front. Uh-oh. And we went to the wrong version on the Epic Touch 4G. Let's see if it can come back and get anywhere near what the EVO 3D has done. Wow, it's almost caught up. Again, we're running through all the flash at this point. I'm guessing EVO 3D is going to take it. We'll see. Yep, EVO 3D is done. Pretty smooth too. Still waiting on the Epic Touch 4G to finish loading the flash in there. It did. You can see the flash ads running on both. And again, the Epic Touch 4G is considerably smoother than the EVO 3D. Double tap to zoom in. I would say of the browsers I've used on both on Sprint smartphones, these two are definitely the two best, I believe. The EVO 3D definitely feels smoother than the Photon 4G and the Nexus S. And the Epic Touch 4G was first loading the page, and again you can see just how smooth it is. There's just a little bit of lag on the EVO 3D. So anyway, there's a look at our face-off featuring the Epic Touch 4G, HTC EVO 3D for Pocketnow. This is Craig. Don't forget to hang in there and check out the video examples from each one of our combatants. Hope this was helpful. Take care.